There we go. Now I got a viewer. There we go. All right.
6 viewers?
Yes. Looks like we're connected this time. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do HQ here because the building's probably blocking too much
Made
signal.
of metal.
Yes. Well, welcome to the Technomadia live video broadcast, webcast, chat thingy. I guess we need to come up with a name for these things. Anyway, I'm Cherie.
I'm Chris. Welcome to my storage unit.
So just to start off for a couple of things, we are broadcasting over cellular bandwidth, so hopefully this is coming through clear enough for you. Please do let us know if you can't hear us very well or see us very well.
There is a lot of white noise here, so actually please chime in right now if the volume we're talking at is enough to be heard. So thumbs up, thumbs down, just throw it in the chat box.
They can't see.
No. A type a thumb up or a thumbs down. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can't see you. We're not the NSA.
All right. So second thing is we are on Ustream. This is a free service that we're signed up for, and they may periodically put up some ads, and we have no control over those. And we're too cheap to go pay the $99 a month to get rid of those. So please no complaints on ads if they happen to show up.
Although Ustream is cheaper than my storage unit.
It is. Ustream is cheaper than your storage unit. Maybe once we get rid of the storage unit, we can afford a Ustream.
Maybe. It's still not quite worth it, I don't think.
All right. Could someone please verify that we are streaming and you can see us and hear us? Please, in the upper right-hand corner of the Ustream channel is a chat box. You can go there to interactively chat with us. And if someone could please verify that we are streaming live to you and you can hear us.
Hello. Don't all chat at once.
Thumbs up, yay!
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
All right,
okay.
Thank you. All right, so today is October 22nd. It is approximately 6 p.m. Pacific time. If it is not October 22nd, you are watching an archive. So asking questions probably won't work. However, once we get done with this, this little speechy thing, we will be opening it up to questions and answers and welcome your questions about life on the road. Any questions that you have, you'll just chat those up in the chat box in the social media thing up in the upper right-hand corner. Otherwise, we're going to start chatting here.
Yes.
So we are sitting in Sacramento, California today, and we are at the site of Chris's storage unit.
We are Extra Space Storage, 3000 B Street. If you want to come by and pick up anything, there's a lot of good stuff to be had. We're having a going out of business or moving out of the storage unit sale. All things half off, something. So yes, storage units. They are a wonderful thing. They are also kind of like a crab trap. Once they get your stuff in, you're stuck. It's very hard to extract.
Yeah. So a little background. Chris hit the road solo in 2006, and he left off in a very tiny travel trailer, a little 16-foot teardrop clamshell. And when he did that, he left out of San Francisco. And a storage unit made a lot of sense. Because number one, you only gave yourself how long to get out of here?
Well, and actually, when I left San Francisco, my tab wasn't even finished, being ready to be picked up at the lot. So I was moving out, and my first several days, I had nothing but a Prius to live in. So I really needed a storage unit. It was crammed to the brim because I pushed myself very, very fast to get out of my apartment. The storage unit I found was almost just a block away from where I lived in San Francisco. So I was taking cartloads, pushing it down the sidewalk and right into the storage unit over and over and over again to empty out my apartment and get onto the road. Once I finally had the tab, storage unit in San Francisco ended up not being ideal. Anytime you want to go get stuff, a storage unit for the tab was perfect. I considered it the walk-in closet. Things were intended to be accessible and able to go get them because the tab had so little space in it that it's like, okay, I had media, I had extra clothes, I had other things that I could cycle out seasonally. But going into San Francisco to do that was not necessarily you got to go into downtown city traffic to get to the stuff.
So we weren't going very often, and at the same time, they started upping the price every year, as storage units do. So back in 2008, when we were back in the Bay Area, we actually moved Chris's storage unit to here in Sacramento because we had friends in Sacramento that we were frequently coming to see, and it just always thought it would be a better location for Burning Man.
Yeah, this actually was one of the prime things, some of the bulkiest stuff that we had back in the Tab and Oliver days, was all of our stuff to set up a desert camp. So an external outside shade structure, an outside kitchen setup, some carpets, stuff to put down on the ground, and then a whole bunch of funky costumes and other things that were really bulky and really didn't make sense to carry the rest of the year, but were kind of essential for going out to Black Rock City. So having a place to provision and then drop off, basically swap the real world for Burning Man world and then undo it again after a couple of weeks out there, made a whole lot of sense. And at this point we've upgraded to a slightly bigger trailer. We've got the Oliver.
We don't have a trailer.
Yeah, we're talking about that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got the slightly bigger, gone to the Oliver, but we're still towing with the Jeep, so we still don't have a ton of extra space. And so we set this storage unit up here actually as a walk-in closet. The bookcases are set up with all the books were accessible. We're going to give
I'll do a tour.
Quick tour of the storage unit.
So this is basically the layout that the storage unit always has been. We had the dresser over there, and there was a wardrobe on top of it.
And a giant, full-size collapsible wardrobe, so all the extra clothes and the wardrobe on top of the dresser. The dresser was full of stuff, bookcases. It was designed to be able to kind of walk in and get things. Right here there was a full-on DVD media rack, so all the DVDs and stuff here. What movies do we want to watch over the next 6 months? Cycle them out. It was designed to be accessible. And then over here was more the camping supplies, and then critical things like a whole pallet of energy drink. Why? Because it's the best stuff ever made. Smart Power energy drink was a friend of our company. When he went out of business, we bought his excess inventory, and we are very, very pleased when we finally returned to the storage unit after, how many years was it?
It's been many years since we've been here.
3+ years to get here and find the energy drink is still fresh, tasty, and carbonated. So,
anyway, we were in the Bay Area back in 2010. Yeah, 2010 was the last time we were here. And that's when we decided that we were tired of living in a very tiny little trailer. Mm-hmm. And we actually moved over to the Virgin Islands for 5 months and lived there. And we came back to the U.S. We decided we were ready for a bigger motorhome if we're going to continue RVing.
And when we left, we decided that we had very little time to get across the country to get to the Virgin Islands, so we didn't even route back through the storage unit at that time. So it's been a very, very long time since we've been to California, and even longer since we've been here to see the stuff. And so clearly anything that you haven't seen in 3.5 or 4 years, you're really not needing it too much.
Right. So we got the bus in 2011 after we got back from the Virgin Islands. We actually found it in Arizona, so it would have made sense to come up here. We actually had the original thought that we would get the bus, and before we stocked it full of crap, we would, because you will fill whatever space you have. We thought that we would drive it up to Sacramento, clear out the storage unit, and just use the bus to transport anything Chris wanted to save, and transfer that to his parents' basement in St. Louis. But that was also around the same time that my father started to get ill again, and we felt that we needed to get over to the East Coast and base ourselves there. So we've been East Coast bound for the last 2.5 years since we got the bus, basically, and haven't had the opportunity. This is our first opportunity now to come back to the West Coast, and we decided getting rid of it. So that's the story of our storage unit and why it made sense when we started and didn't. But what are some other reasons where it might make sense?
Other reasons the storage unit makes sense. Well, sometimes people hit the road and it's a temporary thing. When I hit the road, I wasn't really intending, I didn't have any plan to have it be anything other than open-ended. But since I had some space in the storage unit, I kept things that could be useful in that regards as handy jump starter if I did decide it didn't work out for me. So I had the dresser was full of a whole, basically everything you needed to outfit a kitchen. Pots and pans and plates and flatware and all that stuff. For people who are definitely going out as an experimental phase, it makes sense to leave behind what you need to jumpstart back if after a year or two you decide that wasn't the right course. Right,
because there's nothing that says that you have, if you decide to try full-time RVing or full-time travel, that you have to do it for life or open-ended. It is perfectly fantastic to set out for just doing it for a year, maybe in between careers or major life transition points, or when you're trying to decide what city you want to move to next. If those are the cases, it may make sense to keep a storage unit during that time frame so that you have your stuff until you decide what's next in your life. Another case is if you might have some valuables or precious things maybe sentimental things that are irreplaceable that you're not ready to part with. Maybe you've got kids who don't have places of their own yet to impart the family heirloom china set or furniture to. It might make sense to hold on to it for your kids if it's something they want when they do set up their own house, to save for them.
It is there is a bit of a trap with stuff though. You've got to be careful of, are you saving things for a real reason? I know a lot of people pass along china sets, for example. It seems to be a classic thing that take china sets that might get used once in 30 years, if that.
Right.
And it gets passed to another generation and becomes kind of baggage they have to carry around, and it's not their style, they don't do fancy dinners, it's not something that they're ever going to use, but it was gifted to them or passed down to them.
So you feel a sentimental value to have to keep it. I know when my grandmother passed away about 20 years ago, she had left a Japanese china set to my mother and I. And my mother and I, for the first year, neither she or I could emotionally let go of that set. But we both looked at each other, neither of us is going to use this. Let's get it into a home where someone can. And we did decide that it was time to get rid of it, even though we had to get, it takes sometimes time to get past things. You hold on to things for a reason. And sometimes you just don't have the mental energy just to do it all.
Figure out the reasons and figure out the things that you can use to let yourself let go. For me, a lot of times to let go of stuff, I want to capture the memory of it. So actually, I just do those pictures. I've been doing a lot of that as I've been purging the storage unit, is take pictures of...
You can take a picture with your teddy bear.
Yeah.
See, now you're forever on the internet with the teddy bear.
Aww.
See, now you can purge teddy bear.
Yes. But, yeah, like a lot of things, if I have a picture of it, that captures the essence of the memory. And actually, in some ways, that's better than having it sitting in a box slowly decay. I'd rather get a picture of it while it's still in its prime. I've opened boxes and had some things that have fallen apart over the years. And then there's other things. It's like focusing on the little nuggets that can connect you to a chain of memories. So rather than save an entire set of something, save one small piece of it, so that reminds you and doesn't take up any space. Stuff that you can either becomes a knick-knack that you travel with and decorate with, or a small bit of stuff you store. But then when you find that and pull it out of storage, it connects you to what had been a whole lot of things stored away.
Right. Other cases where it might make sense to store things.
It's very important to store and save all your old paper files.
No,
going back decades, you should have to have every receipt and tax thing and any piece of paper.
No.
A lot of people fall into that trap, and then these piles start piling up, and it becomes overwhelming to even go through them again to try and figure out, can I really throw this away? That was something I'd had, just for years. For a while, I had gotten really obsessed with Quicken and Microsoft Money, and everything was organized and totaled and sorted, and so much effort had gone into organizing all this old paperwork and chronicling it that it was like an emotional attachment to stacks full of tax documents. And when I first hit the road, actually, I did a whole lot of purging when I first hit the road. I didn't just throw everything in the storage unit. And some of that I took out to Burning Man that first year in 2006 and did a big bonfire of, I'm letting go of all of this paperwork that doesn't mean anything. It had stuff on buying houses and selling houses and this and that, and it didn't mean anything anymore. It was just luggage and anchors, and it burned really pretty.
Yes. Yeah. So scan documents that you no longer need. So you have them digitally if they're important receipts or things that you might need for a future audit or something like that. Paperwork really is in this digital age. There's not much of it that's actually medical records and things like that aren't digitized, but you might actually want, if you've got a medical condition.
But there are things like the Doxy or the Handy Scanner and stuff that you could just feed things, paper, through the scanner. It's all becomes OCR searchable. You could have thousands upon thousands of pages backed up into it. Actually, scanned documents don't take a lot of storage space, so you can back them up in a couple different places, and 2 hard drives in 2 different safe places can hold what would have been a room full of documents. So if you really feel a need to keep documents, you don't need to keep them in paper form anymore.
Okay, Chris, so here's the next question for you. How much has it cost you in the last 7 years to store all this crap?
So I'm pretty sure, because I have gotten in the habit of throwing away papers and even digital documents of a lot of random bills. I don't actually have the details of
So he started putting it together. So
of what this costs, but I do have this unit, and I just saw somebody ask how big this is. This one here is a 10 by 10 climate-controlled elevator access indoor unit.
Gated, locked.
Gated, locked. Very, very nice facility, I have to say. This was a brand new facility when we moved into it. But the price when I moved in, I think, was in the 70s.
I think it was
70 or something.
I think it was $79 a month when we first moved in here.
And I have the most recent records I still have is in 2010. So we moved in here in 2008.
The end of 2008.
In 2010, it was $98, and then it raised to $108 later in 2010. So in 2010, this unit cost $1,200 and $1,246. Couldn't find the records for 2011. 2012. By 2012, it was up to $126, and then they raised it to $134. So 2012 total was $1,544. And so far in 2013, they've raised the price again to $144 a month. And I've so far spent in 2013 $1,390. So
they've almost doubled the price since 2008 when we moved in here. So in 5 years, they've doubled the price.
And just to let you know how they trap you is because the online special price for this exact unit right now on the website is $98 with an on-site rental rate of $115. So they're still hooking people for $98. After they're here a little while, they just start getting you on that treadmill. They know your stuff is too much work to take out. So then, your unit is going up every year. Sometimes just every 8 months or so. There's another price increase.
So, with every price increase notification we got, we're like, okay, we've got to get back to California. It's just at some point the fuel and the time to get out here, you just got to do it. So we're giving ourselves 2 weeks to get rid of the storage unit. Chris, it's been 2 months to pack it the first time. About 2 months when you decided to hit the road, and you actually did. And we moved it here in 1 day.
Yes, very busy day.
But
that was not opening boxes. That was just shuffling things.
And so we're 2 weeks. We're now 6 days into it.
6 days into it and making tons of progress.
Right. So there's still a lot of stuff here, but you notice this was never packed to the ceiling. It was never fully packed. We left it as a walk-in closet sort of layout, so it was very accessible to get to everything. So now it's just a matter of going through, like you found your old Legos today.
Yeah, today found old Legos. Apparently they're worth quite a bit. The guy in the storage unit next to me pointed to one of the sets I had and said, I sold one of those a few years ago for $600. So, scores. Now the hard part is I need to find a Purge genie to help me sell some of these things. But
I got Purge genie.
Yes.
How good.
But a lot of stuff we sold already online. Craigslist has been disappointing this time around.
Craigslist has been mostly disappointing. I used to use it a lot when I purged my house to hit the road. And you always have your looky-loos and you got your people with scams and things like that. But I'm just finding so often people write, they say they're interested and they never write back. Mm-hmm. But we have sold some small stuff, but most of the stuff people are, like we've got a nice dresser back here, it's solid wood. We've hardly had any bites on it whatsoever. So,
although where I've been getting the most bites is when I take pictures of stuff, I've been posting those pictures, those farewell pictures in a sense. I've been posting them to my personal Facebook page, and all my Facebook looky-loos and their friends of friends too, because it's an open public page, that's where a lot of interest and stuff is gone, and that's what I really love, because I much prefer my stuff to go to friends, to good homes, than to Goodwill.
Right. So like one of the things that both of us did when we purged our houses is we hosted house cooling parties. Mm-hmm. So you were familiar with housewarming parties. Someone gets a new house and you bring them a gift. With a house cooling party, you invite all your friends over. You have this great last hurrah with your friends, and they have to take crap home.
Nobody's allowed to come unless they take something away. And when I had mine, I had all my bookshelves, all these bookshelves here actually, I had all the stuff that was set up on them, all the art. The biggest thing, I hate giving away art objects to Goodwill, and I love to collect art, but things at Goodwill get just kind of discarded, the stories behind them get lost. But like an art, like this was hand carved by this person, or this was painted by X person Y. If a friend takes it, I could pass on that story along with it, and then I get to sometimes get to visit my art again, which has been awesome.
Right. So someone asked, did you consider just hiring someone to toss it all for you? And that's a big reason why we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Is he wanted to go through the experience one last time of going through all the stuff that you said.
I've already, a long time ago, tossed the stuff that was tossable. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff here that is turning into trash. But this stuff here is, hand carved heirlooms and, old stuff that has either memory or actual value attached to it. There's not a lot here that is a stranger would do very well just tossing.
Right. So that's not something we wanted to do. I mean, there's a reason that Chris kept all this stuff, even though I call it crap.
And Cherie actually has a whole bunch of big boxes of what is like her attachment stuff that when she went through her house,
it's in his parents' basement.
We actually ended up, it was much closer to take things to my parents' basement, and, well, their basement doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. But,
yes.
But it's basically stored with family.
Right.
It's just a few things that could take up a corner.
But one of the frustrations that we've had, because we moved the storage unit up to Sacramento because we had some good friends here that we were visiting all the time. But they ended up moving about 3 years ago. So our reason for coming to Sacramento was no longer here, and we really don't have much community in Sacramento to tap into. So we don't have a lot of local people to give our stuff to, or his stuff to, I should say. So, a lot of his community was in San Francisco, and we'd have a lot easier time gifting all this stuff and giving it to people that, if we were in San Francisco, like yesterday we spent all day meeting people from San Francisco coming up here to give them stuff.
And some of them acted as pack mules to haul stuff down to distribute to other people down in San Francisco, which leads to a lot of logistical coordination.
Yeah, so we definitely could have utilized our local community resources had we left the storage unit in San Francisco instead of making the move up here to Sacramento, where we don't really have a network to tap into to give anymore to give this stuff away. So that's one thing to consider is where your storage unit is. If you do decide later to get rid of it all like we are, is how are you going to dispose of it? You want to hire someone to do it? Are you going to be okay with that? Or are you going to be like Chris and want to know where your treasured stuff ends up at? Yeah. Any other topics before we go to Q&A?
Oh, goodness gracious. If you know anybody in Sacramento who could use some books, movies, hand-done Indonesian musical instruments, there's so much fun stuff. No, we're doing really great purging things. Biggest thing, hey, if you know anybody who needs a dresser, that's the biggest, bulkiest thing left. It's empty, ready to go. Dresser's got to go. Perfect mint condition.
Okay, well, will you add more things to your RV now since you're emptying the unit? So, yes, we are actually taking on some stuff, like we just replaced all of our flatware in the RV, which would have been just random stuff we had picked up when we got the bus. So we've actually replaced a lot of Chris's old good Oneida set. So we'll actually have like really nice flatware in the bus. We're taking some small stuff on, but the bus is pretty well outfitted at this time. Like we thought about bringing on
the wardrobe had nice clothes that we just left behind when we were cycling out our smaller space in the Oliver. So we both refreshed our wardrobe. We both had a lot of clothes here, it's like the best thrift store in the world because it's all good new stuff that fits.
Yeah, so we'll have no trouble donating the stuff away. There's plenty of donation and charities around here, and we'll be, that'll be like early next week when our 2 weeks is up. We will be getting rid of everything, and it will be going to appropriate charities and things like that. Now, unfortunately, only 2 weeks. We don't have a lot of time to contact individual ones and hand cherry picking them. I mean, that is one of the downsides. We'll probably all go to Goodwill.
Yeah. Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul's also. We found one of those right nearby. We don't. I've already taken, I think, four full Mini Cooper loads to Goodwill. I don't object to Goodwill, so I think somebody was kind of inferring that when I say Good Homes is better than Goodwill. It's just I prefer the stuff that I have emotional attachment to go to some place where that story can continue on, and they know where it came from, and I know where it went. And that's the reasoning behind that.
Yes, people like about art in the RV. So most of the art that Chris had before was large format, too large for the RV.
Yeah.
We do have some art in the RV. It's things that personal things that people have made for us. And,
we've got some beautiful art prints that we have the photography that Ben Wilmore did custom for us of our two former homes.
We're a lot of the art that he had was stuff he had before me. So we're trying to create the bus to be ours.
Right.
if anyone is an artist and wants to create us art, we're always happy for that.
Yeah, we love art.
So we'll probably be drifting into Q&A session. If you have questions, it could be anything about life on the road. It doesn't have to be necessarily about storage units and purging, but certainly those questions are appropriate for this talk. Please go ahead and put them in the chat box. If you haven't discovered it yet, in the upper right-hand corner, if you're on a browser, is a little link for chat, and it'll open up the chat box. And you can type in your questions there, and we'll see them on the iPad and be able to answer them. So go ahead and start asking those questions now. We'll start integrating that into our babbling here. So anything else about the storage unit? What have been some of the any surprises that you've come across as you've gone through your stuff?
Just yesterday, was that yesterday? I was flipping through books as I was like piling them into I'm keeping a very few number of physical books. Most of the books are going off to used bookstores and or Goodwill. Flipping through one of them, a little bookmark fell out. It was a tiny red envelope, and inside that was $160. And I don't think that was a book I'd actually read in the past. It was when I bought at a used bookstore, so double super awesome score there. Check your books. Definitely check your books. I just found a $50 savings bond today. That was tucked away in an old drawer. And, well, found out that I've got potentially a hell of a lot of value in Legos that have just been sitting in boxes since I was 10. So, being untethered will likely bring you an even greater sense of freedom.
In
some ways, yeah.
So the storage unit hasn't really, besides the ridiculous amount of money that's going out and that 7 years of paying over $1,000 a year, there's probably not going to, you can't look at it that way. It's probably never going, you're probably not going to sell enough to make that up. With the Legos, we might.
Yeah, actually, with the Legos, we might. And one of the things that was here that I sold was my old paramotor, which had just gotten so old that it wasn't worth maintaining anymore. The company was out of business, but the local flyers here still needed those old models for parts, so I gave up my paramotor for the time being, and that sold for a very pretty penny. Not anything close to what I paid for it originally, but my paramotor's got a new home where it will get to be at least parted out and revved up again. Yes, definitely. Something different about when everything. I've kind of had that feeling for a while though that all our eggs are in one basket. When you look at our everything is in our home.
Everything important.
Yeah.
Because the stuff here, none of it was obviously essential for our life stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if we had ever decided to settle down anywhere, I don't know that we would have necessarily incorporated much of this anyway.
Because we started from scratch. It's more fun. Some favorite pottery. Yeah, pottery is not so good on the road.
Okay, so read the question.
Yes.
So this person, I have some favorite pottery, but that sounds ridiculous to consider taking on the road. Any experiences of breakables and favorite dishes? Breakables usually are not a good idea to bring on the road. We have had lots of glass stuff break. It's going to break. More likely, it's not going to be down the road. It's going to be maneuvering around a campground as you're going over curbs and potholes and things like that. But yes, we have had stuff break, and we just don't carry breakable stuff with us. Not
much. We really try to avoid breakables on board.
Cleaning up, I just had like a little plant potter that
fell down.
No, that I think was the cat's fault.
Yes. Doubly don't have breakables if you have a cat, particularly a cat on the leash. That can use her leash like a clothesline wire to hurl things on occasion.
We're about 6 years from retiring, and I would love to full-time RV. What would be your biggest...
IP for us.
IP.
Intellectual property.
I think they meant tip.
Tip. Oh, okay. Tip.
Oh, gosh. Can you direct the question a little more... tip about what?
The full-time RV tip...
do it.
Just do it. I don't even know where to start.
We wrote a blog about that. It's called technomadia.com.
we had to keep writing because there's so many tips to share.
There's so many tips, and it really there's no one singular thing. It's so unique to everybody, and the biggest tip is do it your way. Don't follow others.
Yes.
I guess that would be the
that'd be
biggest
a
one.
big tip, yes.
Yes. But follow our, don't make our mistakes. Yeah.
Do you have any records for sale?
I don't think so.
Vinyl records? I did find that I have
you have a Rush
two Rush vinyl records that I just bought for the... I'm a huge Rush fan, and so at one point I found those at a sale and bought 2 Rush on vinyl records. So those are the only vinyl records that I have.
Someone says it's got to be burning up there, temperature estimate. No, it's been chilly in the evenings. And
here in Sacramento?
Yeah,
it's not bad at all.
Low 80s at night. No big deal.
No, at night it's in the 40s.
Yeah, low in the 40s.
But it's comfortable. Comfortable sleeping, and in the day it gets in the low 80s, and it's been very pleasant.
Yep.
Tip, start getting rid of stuff now. Yes,
definitely. Yeah, even 6 years out. I don't know, 6 years is really hard to plan around. I mean, so much can change in 6 years. I'd almost say, at that point you're just setting intentions, you're not really planning. Because you can't really start making decisions in your life. Other than not accumulating more crap now, but you still have 6 years of life to live in your normal routines, and so much can happen between now and 6 years. Health issues, family issues, job loss, big life stuff that can totally derail your intentions to hit the road. I would say unless you're planning under 2 years, it's really hard to start making big life switches. I'd almost even say if you're planning more than a year out, it's it's setting intentions, which is different. You got to plan.
It's just actually starting to purge. You can start doing a long time in advance. Particularly things like if you've got tons and tons of paper records and stuff like that. It can be easier to do it slowly and gradually over time as opposed to having to face the mountain.
We have a question about did we leash train our cat from a kitten? Yes, we got Kiki almost 5 years ago. She was 7 weeks old when she joined us on the road, and we immediately put her on a leash and harness. So she knows nothing but that.
But we do know people who have had success training full-grown cats. It just depends on the cat.
Yes,
it's a lot easier of the kitten, but it can be done.
Right. Just don't take their first reaction as the outcome, because they will protest. They will protest for the first several tries.
Yeah. Well, first off, just let them get used to wearing a harness. Put them on a harness and just put them someplace for an hour or two and ignore them, so that you don't hear all the fussing until they get used to the harness, and then you can start adding more leash time. And don't try and rush the cat. Just give them plenty of time to get used to the harness in particular. We eventually got Kiki to the point where she just wears the harness all the time. It's her collar.
Well, and actually, it's funny. We took her out for a walk last night, and the RV park that we're at has a dog park. And we took her over to the dog park. We took her off her leash so she could go off leash there, and she wouldn't go more than 18 feet away from us because she's just so used to being on a leash that there's so many times that we just let her out and she just stays right near us because that's what she knows. So someone's offering the tip that when you're planning to full-time RV, every time you are considering a purchase, ask yourself, will I want that in the RV? Which is very true, especially in the year or months leading up to. I still think 6 years out it's questionable. Because a lot of purchases that you make, major life purchases, only have a 5-year lifespan.
True. Yeah. Have you ever been overzealous in your purge? Any items you regret not keeping or not purging in a more orderly manner? Well, I guess you did a really full purge in a short period of time.
Yeah, I did my house purge in 6 weeks when we first hit the road, and God, it was 6 years ago. Now I can't think of anything I missed or any mistakes I made.
There's probably things that I have, both of us have purged that we've thrown into a Goodwill bin that if we had taken the time to try and research and sell them might have been worth the time to do that, maybe even substantially so, but you only have so much time to invest in doing that sort of thing. Right.
Most stuff, except for memorable items, and I did a lot of what Chris did, is I imparted a lot of my more treasured things to friends, and it's really fun now to go back and visit my friends and see my stuff, my art, my furniture, and things like that in their homes. But most other stuff, there's these things called stores around the country, and if there's something I really need,
you
like,
can go get it back.
I can go get it back. It's like free storage.
Yeah.
You know, even thrift stores. I mean, I just did that article on thrift storing, and you know, I've never really been attached to stuff. And one of the big things for me leading up to going to Matica, why it was so easy for me to make the decision and say, oh yeah, 6 weeks, let's go, is I had been through 4 hurricane evacuations back in 2004. I lived on the coast in Florida. And I'd gone through 4 of these evacuations inside of 2 or 3 months. And when you go through that process of leaving your house full in everything that you treasure in your car, and you realizing, I mean, because there was one time there was a Category 5 hurricane bearing down on my house, and it was like, well, everything that I'm leaving this house with is everything that I'm considering my home, and what I would reestablish a life with. And having gone through that process, and you know, sitting there watching the hurricane come on shore, and thankfully it wasn't as devastating as it was predicted for us anyway. That process really changed my entire relationship with stuff. And realizing that there's really few things in the world that I actually need. And yeah, this is one of them right here.
So she's going to put me in a storage unit and visit me every 4
safe.
years. Yes.
Flea problems in the RV. Yes, we have had flea problems in the RV, especially in Florida where fleas rule, apparently. You deal with them and get rid of them as much as you can. Since going full-time in March, if we want to buy something, our motto is something in, something out.
That is a fabulous motto.
That is a fabulous thing. We're even doing that now, is when we're taking things in from the storage unit, replacing things in the RV. It's like, okay, what are we getting rid of? Now, believe it or not, because we did the first 4 years in little tiny travel trailers, we still have drawers that are completely open in the bus.
A few, yeah.
Yes, we still have some open space.
It's the something in, something out system works great. And in particular, a lot of people, I'm one of them, I will fill however much space I have. That's part of why when I hit the road, I've challenged myself to live in a 16-foot trailer. And by the time I hit the road, it was completely full. And then I had the next challenge. I challenged myself to fit a girl into that 16-foot trailer and all her stuff as well. And we made that work. And it wasn't uncomfortable at all. It's like I tend to fill anything I have. And when I had the storage unit here, it was organized and accessible and easy, but I purged it down to the point that it was I was filling the 10 by 10 space, not to the point of bursting, but it was full. If I had originally set aside a 5 by 5 space, I probably would have made that work just as well. And when I had a house, I filled the full 3-bedroom house. It's like I will fill how much space I'm given, but give me less space and I'm just as happy.
Well, so the question was, is if I have any heirlooms left, like at a family house. And I do have a couple boxes.
You got Reggie?
I got my stuffed doggy, Reggie. Yeah. I wouldn't say heirlooms. I mean, like not things like passed down from family too much, but things from my childhood.
You got a few heirloomy things.
Some.
You got some jewelry heirlooms.
Yeah, no, I can wear those.
Oh yeah, but you can still wear heirlooms.
Yeah, but they're not at a family's house.
True. Right,
that
true.
wasn't the question.
I missed the family house bit.
Yeah, I do have a couple boxes of treasured items. I won't call them heirlooms. That are at Chris's family's place, and I think I've got a box at my mom's place as well. Yeah. So yeah, I did keep some things, and I'm very thankful that your parents have been so gracious with space, and you'll be moving some things in on the bus over to there.
Yeah, we will take some of the heirloom things that I've got or old memory stuff, consolidate it down, and try and no longer need a storage unit, but a family basement is an appropriate place for a few things.
Cool. I don't see any other questions popping up.
For questions.
So if there's any other questions, please type them in quickly. They can be about anything about full-time RVing, life on the road, running a business on the road, purging, storage units, things like that. We're happy to answer them.
If you've got any questions about old Legos or Matchbox cars or things like that, we probably don't have answers, but I can take the camera over there and show you some old Legos. We can do that if there's a request. Yes.
You think you would have purged even if you weren't in the bus? I'm not quite sure I understand the context of the question.
I mean, if we still had the small trailer, even when we had the Oliver, we had the intentions of getting here and doing a big purge just to try and get down to a smaller, cheaper unit because as the prices went up. And we might have still kept a small unit as like a Burning Man replenishment thing if we were still in the small trailers and had so much West Coast time focused. But it doesn't make sense if we're not. It's actually we're not spending that much time on the West Coast lately anyway. So.
All right. Have you ever used Neat Receipts? Neat Receipts
is a competitor to Doxy. We have a Doxy little pocket scanner, but I've heard really good things about Neat Receipts. And really good things about Doxy. And when I researched them, Doxy was the one that I put on our Git list. But nothing bad to say about Neat Receipts either.
I was asked, do I have much jewelry? I've got this, and I've got a ring. I don't have much like precious jewelry. I'm not a jewelry girl. So no, I don't have. I've got necklaces and things like that. I don't even have my ears pierced, so no jewelry on the ears. I'm kind of minimalist when it comes to that sort of stuff.
I don't have my ears pierced either.
Yeah.
But I did find some nice jewelry though when I was making my storage unit. Yay.
Have we ever thought of starting a podcast? No, there's an interesting question. Yes, we
plant that seed.
We actually are considering a podcast. We've actually considered when we first hit the road, but we just didn't know what we'd talk about. But we have some ideas on what we want to do for a podcast.
We're getting closer to doing a podcast. Particularly doing these video things has been fun, and so maybe a podcast would be fun. And if you think podcast is a great idea, let us know. Let us know if you've got any favorite podcasts that you would like us to look to for inspiration and ideas on how our format should be.
Right. Yeah, we're not quite sure what to do with a podcast. Now that we just kind of ended one major career, we're looking for what would be fun for us to do and still feel like it can aid to creating income, but yet not feel icky about it. Like, yes. I love doing these things here because I'm not selling you guys anything. We're not here to pitch you on anything or try to get you to buy our stuff.
I was trying to get them to buy our stuff.
Legos, yes, you can buy the Legos.
You buy the Legos. Buy the Legos. Yeah.
But our intent with doing these is not to
sell anything.
To sell,
yes,
we have books and apps and things that there, but we'd much rather people buy those because they're useful in their lives, not because we're sitting here giving you information.
Right.
So we have to find a way to do a podcast that feels right to do and is a topic that's interesting to do. And
how is a podcast different than this? Potentially this could become podcast content.
Yeah, we could just put this to a podcast. It's just the format being on iTunes and being more streamlined to devices. This we only put out to Ustream, and then we syndicate this over to YouTube.
So that's why this is our first step to a podcast. We might do audio-only podcasts. Maybe we do the video stuff. We're still brainstorming on what things might look like,
and how much work we're willing to put into it without it being something that's going to necessarily be income generating.
We don't want it to feel like work. We want to enjoy it and have fun doing it.
And what we like about this thing with this video thing is it's really last minute. We look at our schedule. We say, hey, look, we're in a good bandwidth area. Oh, we can talk about this topic. And we just do it, and we don't feel like it's work. We don't feel like it's a commitment we've made. Whereas when you've got a podcast and you're syndicating it, and people start to expect you to have episodes out on a routine, and then it starts to feel like work. And so we still have to come to realization with that and see what feels right. Because we want to remain real people to everybody. We don't want to be celebrities. We hate being celebrities. That's the sucky part about having the blog and stuff.
Use the Legos to make a mini Zephyr. Do that. Well, sure. Yeah, they just take a lot of space, so they're ready for their next forever home.
Okay, if there are any other questions to ask, if not, we're going to get back to purging. So you've got a couple seconds here to get in your last questions for us for this month. And if not, we will see you sometime next month when we decide we have time and energy to do this.
Next month we might be someplace else.
We will be someplace else, because you're going to be done with the storage unit. We're going to be out of here. Our goal is to have this done next Wednesday.
Yep.
Next Wednesday.
I gave notice. Cool.
What's next after the purge? So the general year trajectory is we are in Austin, Texas for Thanksgiving, and we are back to Cedar Key for New Year's for a month. So back to Florida for the winter. So we'll be starting our cross-country repositioning here at the beginning of November.
Yep. So if you're on our rough route, say hi. We love meeting people.
All right. So thank you guys. It was a pleasure to share a little bit of this purging chaos with you. And we will see you next time.
Bye.